We are now beginning to see a resurgence of classic PS1 style games come to the forefront on game marketplaces, even with consoles, which for me personally I think is very, very cool, because again, the PS1 is my favourite console ever, but I just love the old school low polygonal style of the visuals, and while they do have their limitations, they also do stand out, and there's just something about them that really is unique and almost timeless, if you will. So it's easy to see why you're starting to see developers create a multitude of different styles of games, anything from like horror to RPG, racing. They're all using this old visual style, as while yeah, you could consider it old, but it still appeals to the masses, even to the modern day. So it has its good and obviously bad points. Like, some people won't like that style, but others like myself will absolutely adore it. But I think it has its place, and it definitely still has its place in the modern landscape of video games in all respects. So it's great to see these games come back to life in many regards. But another one of these games we will be looking at here, which I am going to start doing this a lot more as well. I'll still be covering PS1 games, don't get me wrong, but I do like seeing other games come around that have been based off of this visual style, as they take elements and are heavily inspired from games seen during that generation, and you can clearly see that during either the game's development or even just from the way the game plays and looks. So one of the games that has only been released recently as of recording this video goes by the name of Old School Rally, that has been developed by Frozen Lake Games and published by Astrolabe Games. I've also been following the developer on my Twitter account and actually been back and forth messaging him, because I was playing even demos of the game and I was expressing my opinion of how much I enjoyed it. So now that the full game has been released, mind you, it's still in early access on Steam. There'll be a link in the description, and the developer has stated that there is going to be a lot more content added over the coming months. So there's a lot to get excited about. So straight away, if you're looking at this game, you can clearly see its influences and its inspiration. It's heavily inspired by classic rally games from the PlayStation era, more notably with the original two Colin McRae rally games, that uses a variety of different cars and models that are very similar to those games, but they don't have the official licenses with the likes of Subaru, Lancia, Mitsubishi and all that, but they do replicate it in a way that looks almost authentic. But still, for me, I don't care. Just to get to play games like this in this style is more than enough, that what you would want anyway. So the game gives you access to 3 cars in the beginning, and you have different modes from time trial to various rallies, where you can race through different types of difficulty settings, from rookie mode to intermediate, advanced, pro and even extra rallies, that will take you across a variety of different stages situated within different countries. So far the game has access to 2 different stages in each country, but again, more will be added later as the development of the game progresses. But what is on offer here, there's a lot of value for your money pretty much, and the game is going for a reasonable price on Steam itself. So I'll be honest, I've been actually sitting down and playing this game for quite a bit, and it's funny how addictive it gets. And especially if you're familiar with games, especially with more so the first Colin McRae rally, it definitely has those elements to it, but at the same time it also feels a little bit, with regards to the handling dynamics, more so even like Sega Rally. It does have a lot of arcade style mechanics with it. It's a good solid game, although for those looking for a more authentic experience to the likes of the Colin McRae series, there is some definite differences, but that's not to say that it's a bad thing, because again, like I said, this game takes inspiration from those classics, but it still tries to present its own experience, and it does do it very, very well.
Medium right. Checkpoint. Hard left. Over bridge. Medium right. Easy right. Jump. Checkpoint. Easy right. Medium left. Over bridge. Jump. Checkpoint. Right, left chicane. Hard left. Medium right. Checkpoint. Easy right. Hard left. Easy right.
So as you progress, you can also unlock a majority of different cars, all from different brands. You'll recognise them pretty much straight away. Anything from like a Toyota Celica GT4, an AE86 Corolla, a Ford RS200, Audi Quattro, even the Lancia Delta Integrale, Mini Cooper, a Ford Escort Mark II, which you can see here on screen, which for me is one of my all-time favourite cars. Plus you can also unlock hidden vehicles. You can unlock anything from like taxis to RVs and even a tractor. So you can see that there's also a lot of fun elements being added into it as well. Now I have to say, I've really spent time playing this. I've enjoyed it. I'm actually still playing it at the minute because I want to unlock everything. But what's really cool is you can go behind the scenes, like in the settings, and you can go into like an archive, as you can see here, and you can see like models of all of the cars that you've unlocked so far. And again, there will be more added at a later date. So there's more than enough excuses to play. The one thing I do like about the game is that it's not overly difficult to play. Yes, you have to be mindful of your surroundings, and you have to know when to brake and when to accelerate, and know when to take corners, especially at high speeds or slowing down. And there are some tricky elements, especially when you come across stages in the likes of China, Japan and so forth. You have a lot more trickier bends and narrow corners, and even just roads in general, which if you're not careful you will take damage. But at later stages, like with most rally games, especially if you're doing the championships, at certain intervals you have the ability to repair your car, which you will need to do, especially if you're driving overly aggressively and you crash a lot. You're going to need to repair it. But all in all, for what it represents, it's a throwback to a classic and nostalgic era of rally games, and for me probably the best generation of video games. And it does do its job really well. And would I recommend that you try it? Absolutely. It's one of the most addictive racing games I've actually played in quite a while, and I would gladly go back to play it again, because even a few weeks previously, as of recording this video, the developers had released a 3-stage demo on this where you could play as 3 different cars. And what was really cool about that is the fact that it reminded me very much of the Colin McRae Rally demo that came as part of one of the UK PlayStation magazine demo discs way back in 1998 when I was only 16. And the cool thing about that is that every time you played the demo, it gave you a different track, and they were hidden as well, so you didn't really know what to expect. So when I played the demo with this, it brought that all back because it felt very similar. It gave you 3 stages, and it gave you, in this case it gave you a wee bit more. It gave you 3 cars to drive from, like from the Subaru Impreza, the Lancer and the Peugeot 206. So there was more than enough variety, and definitely a really good taster as to what was to come. So now by the time that the full game has come around, you can definitely say that you're eager to get it. And even with the developer posting actively on his Twitter account, letting people know of the upcoming release of the game, definitely aided in getting people more excited, because there has been massive hype to this. In fairness, there really has. And again, even I've been messaging the developer back and forth of what I think of the game as well. So any sort of positive feedback is always a good thing, because there is a lot of time and effort that goes into developing games like this. But the one thing that I like is that the attention to detail, is the fact is that they're trying to reflect something that came before it that was also very popular, and that also set the stage for what would come after it. So it pays homage to those aspects, it really does. But again, I would definitely recommend you give it a try. There'll be a link below in the description. Go and check it out, see what you think for yourself. But if you have played this game already, I would love to know your thoughts on what you think of it overall. Do you enjoy these old school rally games, or do you even enjoy the fact that developers are getting together and creating games like this in the modern day? It'll be interesting to hear your thoughts on this, so be sure to share it down in the comments below. And if you would like to see more content around more types of fan-made games like this that were inspired by classic PS1 games, then be sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel, as more videos will be coming in the future. And in the meantime, if you do want to see other videos that I've covered on other fan-made games that were inspired by classic PS1 games, this playlist on screen here will present many of those games so that you can see them in action. And as always, keep those gaming memories alive.